I first saw her on the edge of the colony's crater, standing alone under the dim violet sky of Xylar 9. Her eyes glimmered with an unnatural silver hue, and the strange, almost translucent markings along her arms pulsed faintly, like veins carrying starlight. I had heard rumors of her, callers in the communications hub whispering about the experiment gone wrong, the hybrid, the thing that shouldn't exist. I wanted to turn away, to ignore her, but something compelled me forward. She noticed me immediately. A soft, almost human smile curved her lips, and her voice, though melodic, had an odd, metallic resonance. "Do you think I'm a monster?" I froze. That was the first thing she said. Not hello, not a greeting, not a warning, just that question. I swallowed hard, unsure how to answer. There were many lies I could tell, the easiest being no. Of course not. But I had seen what she could do. I had seen the reports from the research labs, the way her presence altered electronics, the way plants wilted or thrived in her proximity. I knew the truth. "I don't know," I said finally. "Why do you ask?" Her silver eyes darkened. She twisted her fingers, the pulsating markings spreading like tiny rivers along her skin. "Because everyone else says I am. And she hesitated, then whispered, "I feel like it sometimes." I stepped closer, cautiously. "Feel like what?" "A monster," she admitted. Her words were fragile, like they might shatter if spoken too loudly. I remembered the first time I had seen the colony's scientists run simulations of her abilities, gravity bending, temperature fluctuations, brief glimpses into thoughts. Fear had radiated off every person in the room, a tangible, suffocating energy. They called her Project Astra, a name meant to depersonalize, to make her easier to control. But I saw a girl hiding behind those powers. A girl terrified of herself. "You're not a monster," I said. My voice sounded hollow, even to me. "But you're not exactly human either, are you?" She nodded slowly. "I know that. But humans, they can't see me like I see myself." Her head tilted, and for a moment, the wind blew through the crater like a sigh. "Do you think I could ever be normal?" "Normal?" I laughed softly, more bitter than I intended. "Normal is a relative concept here, Astra. On this planet, normal might mean surviving sandstorms that shred metal hulls or breathing an atmosphere that corrodes lungs in a week. Maybe you define normal differently." Her lips twitched into a semblance of a smile. "You talk like you've known me forever, and yet you've just arrived." "I've watched you," I admitted. "I've seen what you can do, and I've seen what you hide from everyone." Her eyes glimmered with curiosity. "And what do you see?" I knelt beside her, careful not to startle her. "I see someone who fears her own shadow, but who could also create suns if she wanted to. I see someone fragile, yes, but also brilliant. I see a person who deserves to decide who she wants to be, not who the scientists, not who anyone else tells her she is." She shivered. "Even if I hurt someone?" Her question made the air between us heavy. I thought of the lab accident, the unintentional destruction that had left 3 technicians unconscious, the hallways scorched, the containment breach. She hadn't intended harm, but her abilities had a mind of their own sometimes. "You might," I said carefully, "but that doesn't make you a monster. Mistakes, accidents, moments of fear, they're human too. You're just more powerful than most." She looked at me for what felt like an eternity, her gaze piercing through my defenses. Powerful. That's one word for it. Dangerous, uncontrollable, unpredictable, those are other words. "And those words don't define you," I countered. "Actions do. Choices do. Who you are inside, the part you nurture, is what counts." A wind gust blew, carrying with it the faint hum of the planet's strange magnetic storms. She closed her eyes, letting it wash over her. For the first time, I saw vulnerability, raw and unshielded, and I felt an ache in my chest. "I've never had anyone speak to me like that," she whispered. They all see the threat, the potential, the abomination. And yet, I said, here we are, two people staring at the same sky, and I don't see an abomination. I see someone asking a question because she wants the truth. She opened her eyes slowly, the silver light within them flickering like starlight caught in water. "The truth," she repeated, as if testing the word on her tongue. "Will you tell me the truth?" "I will," I said. She inhaled deeply, and I could almost hear the crackle of her energy as it danced along her skin. "Am I a monster?" I looked at her, truly looked. I saw her scars, her glowing veins, the way her presence warped reality itself. But I also saw her hesitation, her self-doubt, her yearning for connection. And I realized something profound. Monsters are not defined by abilities, by appearances, or even by accidents. They're defined by choices made in the shadows. And Astra, she had not made the choices that deserved that word. "No," I said finally. "You are not a monster." Her breath caught. "Not a monster?" "Not," I repeated firmly. "You are extraordinary. Terrifying at times, yes, but also brilliant. You are a force of nature, and nature is never a monster." Tears gathered in her eyes, and she laughed, a trembling, fragile sound. No one has ever said that to me, not even my own creators. "I'm not your creator," I said, "and I'm not here to judge. I'm here to tell you what I see. And what I see is someone who has the choice to be kind, to be fierce, to be herself. That's more than most people ever get to decide." For the first time, she stepped closer, and I could feel the faint warmth radiating from her, the subtle pulse of energy in her veins. "Then, I won't hide anymore," she whispered. "You don't have to," I assured her. "Not from me. Not from anyone who sees you for who you truly are." Her eyes softened, and she reached out, tentatively brushing a hand against mine. The moment her skin touched mine, a jolt ran through me, not painful, but exhilarating, like a current running through the core of my being. I realized then that her power was not just destructive. It could connect, heal, illuminate. She was a living paradox, danger and warmth, chaos and clarity, fear and hope. "I don't know what comes next," she admitted, voice barely audible. "The scientists, they'll want to contain me again. They won't understand. Then we'll help them understand," I said. "Or we'll leave. But you don't have to face it alone." A long silence stretched between us. Finally, she spoke again, voice trembling, yet stronger than before. "I want to be more than my powers, more than the accidents, more than the fear. I want to live." "And you will," I said. "You'll choose what kind of life that is. And I'll be here to remind you that being extraordinary isn't a crime." We stayed there for hours, watching the violet skies shift to indigo, watching the magnetic storms play like ribbons of light over the crater rim. For the first time, I saw her relax, the pulsing in her veins slowing, the flickers of her power dimming into calm. She was still extraordinary, still capable of bending reality, still frightening at times, but she was no longer alone in that. Over the next days, I helped her navigate the colony, spoke to the scientists with her, and slowly, carefully, began building bridges where fear had once burned. There were setbacks, a containment alarm here, an outburst of uncontrolled energy there, but she learned, adapted, grew. And I learned too about patience, about fear, about the strange, beautiful complexity of someone who existed between worlds. One night, We stood on the observation deck overlooking the city. She was quiet, gazing at the stars. Finally, she spoke. Do you think I'll ever truly belong? I smiled, brushing a hand over hers. Belonging isn't about where you are. It's about who you are with and whether you accept yourself. You belong the moment you choose to stand as yourself. Astra. That's all it takes. She laughed softly, and for the first time, it sounded free. Then, I belong. Yes, I said. You belong. And in that moment, under the alien sky, I realized the truth. Monsters are born of fear, not of power. And Astra, extraordinary, dangerous, luminous Astra, was nothing like a monster. She was a reminder of what humanity could aspire to: courage, honesty, and the choice to embrace even the parts of ourselves that frighten us most. And she smiled at me, silver eyes shining, and whispered, "Thank you for seeing me." "No," I said. "Thank you for letting me see you." The stars above twinkled, distant suns in a different universe, and for the first time, Astra didn't feel like a solitary anomaly. She felt whole, and that, in the end, was the truth. We stood together on the observation deck for hours, watching the twin moons of Xylar, 9 trace silver arcs across the sky. The wind carried a faint electric hum from the storms above, and her skin glowed faintly under the violet light, each pulse a heartbeat I could feel from where I stood. Astra finally turned to me, her eyes reflecting not just starlight, but something deeper: hope, uncertainty, and the faintest glimmer of courage. "I think I understand now," she said quietly. "I've spent so long hiding from myself, afraid of what I might do. But maybe being extraordinary isn't a curse. Maybe it's responsibility and choice." "Yes," I said, keeping my voice calm but steady. "You have a choice, and it's yours alone. You can decide whether fear controls you, or whether you control your fear. That's how you shape who you are, not the scientists, not the colony, not anyone else." She nodded, letting the wind whip through her silver hair. "I want to choose wisely. For once, I want my actions to mean something beyond destruction, beyond fear." "And they will," I assured her. "Even small acts of kindness matter. Even small choices can shape worlds." Her hand brushed mine again, faintly glowing where our fingers touched. I realized then that her energy wasn't just dangerous, it was luminous, alive, and capable of connection. Her gift wasn't a weapon, it was an extension of herself. And now, she was learning to wield it consciously. The colony's alarms blared that night, signaling another containment breach in the labs, but Astra didn't panic. She moved with careful precision, not letting fear guide her. I followed, guiding the scientists back from harm, helping Astra maintain control over the energy that radiated from her. For the first time, the colony didn't respond with panic. They watched, awestruck, as Astra turned what could have been disaster into brilliance, stabilizing the energy, calming the alarms, restoring balance. Afterward, the scientists approached, hesitant, uncertain, but no longer hostile. They saw her not as an anomaly to be locked away, but as a sentient being capable of reason and compassion. She looked at me, silver eyes luminous with a quiet triumph. "Do you see?" she whispered. They don't hate me anymore." "No," I said, "because you show them the truth of who you are. Not a monster, not a tool, but yourself. And that's more powerful than any fear they could ever feel." She smiled, a full, genuine smile that lit the crater rim. "Then maybe I can start over. Not just survive, but live. And not alone." I placed a hand on her shoulder. "You won't be alone. Not as long as you choose to let people in. You've changed the way this colony sees the world, and they've changed the way you see yourself. The twin moons rose high above, bathing the crater in silver light. Astra tilted her head toward the stars, eyes wide and unafraid. Do you think I could help other colonies? Other people like me? I know you can, I said. You've already taken the hardest step, seeing yourself as more than your fear. Now you can teach others that same truth. For the first time, she looked truly free. The shimmer along her arms pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat, no longer chaotic, no longer threatening. The energy she had feared her whole life was now hers to command, and hers to use for good. I think I finally understand, she said softly. Monsters, they exist only where fear dominates. And I am no longer afraid of myself. I smiled, feeling a warmth spread through me that had nothing to do with the planet's magnetic storms.
No.
You're no longer afraid. And that means you are human in the truest sense. She laughed softly, the sound echoing across the crater like chimes in a gentle wind.
Human, yes.
Strange, extraordinary, powerful, but human. I nodded, watching her take a careful step toward the edge of the observation deck. She looked out over the crater, the city, and the alien landscape of Xylar. 9, then back at me, eyes glimmering with unspoken promise. Then this is the beginning, she said. Not the end. I'll learn, I'll grow, I'll choose my path. And maybe, in time, others will understand me too. Yes, I agreed. This is just the beginning, and you don't have to face it alone. The wind rose higher, and the stars above reflected in her silver eyes. For the first time, Astra didn't feel like an anomaly or an abomination. She felt like herself, whole, powerful, capable of both creation and compassion. She had faced the fear within and had chosen life, choice, and truth over isolation and shame. She reached for my hand once more, intertwining our fingers. The glow of her energy pulsed gently between us, warm and steady, a promise of hope. I asked if I was a monster, she said, voice soft but clear. And you gave me the truth. And the truth, I said, is that you are extraordinary. You are not a monster. You are yourself, and that is enough. We watched the horizon together as the twin moons rose, bathing Xylar, 9 in light. For the first time, I truly understood her, and she understood herself. The planet, vast and indifferent, stretched beyond us. But in that moment, the universe felt smaller, kinder, and full of possibilities. Astra was no longer a shadow of fear. She was luminous, radiant, alive. And the world, though still vast and unpredictable, was ready to meet her. And I knew, deep in my chest, that she would not just survive. She would thrive. Because monsters exist only in fear, and Astra, my luminous, radiant Astra, was finally free of it.